You might already know that strength training has been proven to be one of the most effective ways for runners to run faster. But what you might not know is that not all strength training is created equal for runners. New studies have found that a lot of the traditional exercise we might be doing in the gym might just be wasting time. The problem isn't strength training itself. Besides a good run training plan, strength training is the #1 performance enhancer that we can do. The problem is that the most common gym exercise we all know about aren't actually designed specifically for the needs of runners. So today we're going to take those ineffective exercises that we might be doing and tweak them so the time we spend lifting weights gets us the most effective workout that we can possibly get. What's up, motivators? My name is Taryn, and when ordinary people want to accomplish something extraordinary in endurance sports, they choose unlimited motive training plans for as low as $14.99 a month. You're ready for that next big challenge? Let's do it. For starters, running specific strength training needs to build up two things in our bodies. First, we need strong legs so that we can spring off from the ground individually with each leg. Basically, we're looking to build a really strong single leg hop because that's essentially what running is. Second, we need a very stable core. Studies have shown that to run well, we need to keep our pelvis from sagging while running. It's literally one of the most important things that we need to get right with our running technique. And how we do this is with a strong core. Basically, everything from our mid-thigh to our chest needs to activate and stabilize in a 360-degree plane, all while being able to bend, twist, and stretch. And unfortunately, most traditional strength exercises don't even accomplish one of those requirements, let alone both of them, for running specific strength training. Let's dive into how we fix that. The first exercise that isn't ideal for runners is the standard back squat. This exercise compresses the lower back, both feet are locked into place so it doesn't require much core stability, and it's pushing up slowly with both feet that are perfectly evenly weighted. A similar leg extravaganza exercise that is a much better option for runners is a single kettlebell racked squat. This exercise develops a strong leg push-off like a traditional squat, but because the kettlebell is only in one arm and the kettlebell design itself pulls us over to the side, this exercise also requires a lot of core activation, pelvic stability, and puts more weight on one foot than the other. It's much more similar to running than the traditional back squat. The next exercise that is the granddaddy of all exercises that does not apply to runners is the barbell bench press. This exercise is particularly useless for runners. The barbell bench press locks off our arms and puts stress on our shoulders. And runners do all of our movements in front of us when running. We don't need a bench press to develop more front of body mass and more tightness in the front of our body. It creates imbalances between the front and the posterior sides of the body. Instead, what we should do that builds a nice strong chest while being much more versatile is the Turkish get-up. This exercise opens up the chest instead of closing it like the barbell bench press. It forces the chest to stabilize itself and thus gets it better connected to the core, and it creates a ton of cross-body activation. So we develop a strong chest that can transfer power all across our body, particularly into our core and thus into our legs with every single foot strike. The third exercise that doesn't help us runners is the crunch. Crunches are like the barbell bench press. If you want to impress people in the gym, go ahead and do this exercise. If you want to function well in day-to-day life and run well, don't bother with these exercises. The crunch really only creates a little muscle contraction in the outermost layer of our abs. Crunches don't develop any sort of connection to the greater core. Of course, everyone wants a nice flat stomach, but there are exercises that can activate our abs and our core at the same time. Instead of crunches, we should do renegade rows, plank pull-throughs, and kettlebell crunch press-ups. These exercises develop a very functional core and not just create show muscles because these exercises are much more dynamic. The renegade rows and plank pull-throughs take us from 4 points of contact on the ground to 3 points of contact, so we have to activate our entire core. And the crunch press-ups require a pile of core activation as well. You can get that ab burn and be very functional in the process too. Next, if you want to talk about a non-functional movement that does not help runners, leg curls would be high up on that list. When we do leg curls, we are locked off so there is no core activation, you're mounted into a machine so there's zero need to build stability, and they're a curl instead of a forceful spring like we need when running. Instead of leg curls, us runners should do single leg deadlifts to work the backs of our legs. Single leg deadlifts activate the back of our leg like a curl, but when doing single leg deadlifts, we need to stabilize our core and our hips so our pelvis doesn't sag, throwing us off balance. It's very running specific. And as a bonus, the single leg deadlift forces us to balance, which strengthens our feet, reducing our likelihood of lower leg injury. Finally, I'll pick on shoulder presses done on a bench. Think about a time in your life when you would sit down in a chair and press something really heavy overhead. It literally never happens in daily life. Like most gym exercises, it isolates a single muscle group, in this case the front of the shoulders, to make that body part bigger. It doesn't create any strength that helps us in daily activities. We can still work on getting those boulder shoulders though, racking 2 kettlebells, then doing a squat paired with a push press. This movement creates a really forceful leg drive, which helps us in running. And it really activates the core to keep those racked kettlebells into that position. We'll be working our shoulders really hard because we can all squat more than we can press, so naturally we'll be pushing the shoulders, working them out really hard. There is a big difference between traditional gym exercises and endurance sport specific exercises. Of course, any strength training is better than no strength training, but if you really want to run well, strength exercises need to be a little bit less locked in place, a tiny bit more unstable, and create a lot more core connection. Do this with your strength training and you will be astounded at how much better your run feels. You're ready to take on that next big endurance challenge, and when you train with motive, you will be ready on race day because we have 24 hours of guided strength workouts specifically designed for endurance athletes, all done at the right time of year that complements your training plan. Check out the Motive app, which is the only app in the world with training plans designed specifically for ordinary people who want to accomplish something extraordinary in endurance sports. And you can try it for free. Finally, click the video on the screen. When it comes to run training, the most impactful training technique is running a lot at a low heart rate. But this is really hard for athletes to do, so this video on the screen will take you through the entire process that we need to make it easy on ourselves so that we can set ourselves up for excellent training and excellent racing. Later, motivators.